Let's go live now to SABC News reporter Nozintombi Mia. She is also live for us there, one of our reporters on the ground. Nozintombi, a very good morning to you. Talk to us where you are in Tshwane this morning and what are the sentiments that we're getting from members and supporters of the Democratic Alliance who are attending that manifesto launch.
Yeah, thank you so much, Criselda. We are still standing here at Church Square, which is really the epicenter of where the march is supposed to begin. And I'm just going to ask my camera colleague, Sandy Nkunu, to show you where we're standing. We've moved position throughout this morning, Criselda. And where we started initially was with more of a bird's eye view of what we were seeing. And it was still the officials that were coming in. But literally from about 9:30, you started seeing the numbers of people increasing. And you can actually see this Church Square filling up. We know that about 300 buses are expected, 300 buses of supporters are expected to be making their way here to Church Square, which is the ground zero of where the marchers will begin to make their march, their way towards union buildings. And from here so far, looking at the numbers of the buses that have come so far, I think there are about 150 buses so far that have come off the 300 buses. So they are expecting that more of the buses will make their way through. And what you're seeing now is that the supporters are literally being bussed in. The buses come in, they drop them off, they're given little care packs that include fans and water and umbrellas, t-shirts, what have you not. And they make their way across the pedestrian walk there and walk into Church Square and join the procession that is going to start making their way towards union buildings. And we know that there are about 10 floats that will be part of this march. And those 10 floats represent the different provinces that are DA provinces where the marchers themselves are coming from. And with this, what we do know on the ground is that the marchers themselves come from all parts of South Africa, and they're from different DA branches. And the sentiment we are getting from as early as about 7 o'clock when we started speaking to some of the marchers that made their way here and are trickling down here, they're quite excited to be part of this march. The reoccurring phrase that I keep hearing is a phrase of them saying they are here and they're part of the march because they want to be part of change and they want to see transformation. I mean, how viable that is another story. But bringing up really important issues that they, as citizens of South Africa, are struggling with, grappling with, issues such as the persistent load shedding issue, the issue of potholes, the issue of refuse not being cleaned regularly as what should happen, the issue around crime. My previous guest that I spoke to spoke quite passionately about how in his area, Pretoria North, it seems to be a drug haven for these drug lords. And he says at every corner in the street, every second house is a drug haven. And for him, he's saying, as a first-time voter, he says he was born in 1994, as a first-time voter, he's voting for what he says, again, that phrase, Criselda, that keeps coming up, voting for change. And it will be quite interesting to see whether or not that change will be something that will happen, that will come about as a result of the manifesto. But I thought it was very important points that were coming, not just from my previous guests, but the other guests as well, that these are passionate South Africans that want to see change in the country and are coming here, and they're saying that they're joining this march in particular because they want to see change. But the sentiment around the transformation, around critical issues such as service delivery issues, this is an election year, and these are critical issues that need to be addressed, regardless of the political party. But these are issues, bread and butter issues, that residents in the country or South Africans are saying they need assistance with these key issues: load shedding, the issue around jobs, the issue around crime, the issue around the drugs, the kids falling into drugs because they don't have any meaningful way of spending their time. So this march, I suppose, is a starting salvo of what we'll be seeing throughout the course of this year up until the elections, with different political parties launching their manifestos and bringing people. And I suppose these are the sentiments that we'll be hearing from the different people around them voting for their political for their political party of choice because they want to see changes. But as you can see, Griselda, I'm going to step out of shot again so that my camera colleague Sunday Tshwane can show you the closing shots that we're going to end off here. The numbers of supporters, DA supporters, are still streaming in here at Church Square. As the DA themselves have said, they want to turn the city of Pretoria or the city of Tshwane into a sea of blue. Still early days yet. We'll see later on during the course of the day whether or not the DA managed to do what they set out to do, to turn the city of Tshwane into a sea of blue. But you can see behind me the supporters are still streaming in. About 150 buses have made their way so far. They're anticipating about 300 buses, and they're saying that this could be tens and thousands of supporters that will make their way from Church Square all the way to Union Buildings. Griselda.
All right, Nozintombi, thank you very much indeed. Nozintombi Mia, one of the SABC News reporters who is out in Tshwane this morning as the Democratic Alliance launches its election manifesto. Certainly a number of things expected to come up, including, if we could show you some of those live visuals of what's taking place in Tshwane at this particular time. We'll ask our colleagues to bring that up. Indeed, as you can see, that's the march where John Steenhuisen, the leader of the Democratic Alliance, is leading those supporters and members of the Democratic Alliance. And as I had indicated, of course, what impact, I guess, for all political parties will they have, or these new political parties that are now on the ballot, expected to be on the ballot paper, will have on the support of the Democratic Alliance? Recall, of course, the Ipsos a poll that also came out, which indicated that the Democratic Alliance's support will fall to be overtaken by the economic freedom fighters. We've already heard the likes of Helen Ziller on some other media speak about what they think about that Ipsos poll. In fact, at a press conference earlier on this week, basically rubbishing that Ipsos poll, indicating that that certainly is the case. That poll is not to be trusted. Let's hear what the Democratic Alliance will have to say today. But of course, if we look at 2014, it was at about 22.23%. And of course, that having fallen in 2019 to 20.77%. And certainly we'll hear from John Steenhuisen. Of course, the biggest loss for the Democratic Alliance at the time was registered in Gauteng as well as in the Western Cape as well. But certainly we'll wait to hear what John Steenhuisen, who was right in the middle of that crowd there, has to say to South Africans this morning to try and convince them to put their ex at near the Democratic Alliance, of course, with everyone's ball for choice